p.m. Johnstown, Denver.
My friends, you know the call-in number as well as I do. Feel free to use it. 877-254-7524. That number will get you me, Howard Riell, here on Riell Truth. It's Thursday, the end of the first broadcast week of 2018. That's been a hell of a week. Item from the Daily Wire. President Donald Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., slammed his father's former White House aide and campaign chairman Steve Bannon on Wednesday after outrageous remarks that Bannon made in the book became public. In the book, Bannon told author Michael Wolff that special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation would, quote, crack Don Jr. like an egg on national TV, unquote. Bannon added that the meeting between Trump Jr. and the Russian lawyer was, quote, treasonous or unpatriotic or bad blank. Trump Jr. hit back at Bannon following the revelation of his remarks in the book, landing multiple punches on Bannon, who's rapidly becoming an annoyance to the political right. Trump Jr. wrote in a tweet, quote, Steve had the honor of working in the White House and serving the country. Unfortunately, he squandered that privilege and turned the opportunity into a nightmare of backstabbing, harassing, leaking, lying, and undermining the president. Steve is not a strategist. He is an opportunist, unquote. He is also a fool, my friends, because all he could possibly accomplish is to hinder the Trump administration, which is doing amazing things for America, like this from the Wall Street Journal. The Dow Jones Industrial Average jumped past 25,000 for the first time on Thursday, that's today, on pace to notch the fastest run to a fresh 1,000-point milestone in history. The blue chip index, which heavily weights industrial giants such as Boeing Company and Caterpillar Inc., was recently up 171 points, or 0.7%, at 25,094. If the Dow Industrials close above 25,000, the jump from 24,000 would have taken 23 trading days ahead of the 24-day spans and took the index to 11,000 back in 1999 and 21,000 back in March, unquote. And so, if Steve Bannon is not a complete fool or a hypocrite, then he must know that everything he wants to accomplish for America, he's now fighting against by trying to derail the Trump administration. Now, has Bannon lost his mind? Did he take a bunch of bad drugs? Has he suddenly had a schizophrenic episode? I have no idea. No clue. What he said, allegedly, to this author Wolff doesn't square with what he's done previously. So again, as I said yesterday, it remains an enigma, but we'll assume that Bannon really said what Wolff said he said. In which case, Bannon has become one of them, one of the people trying to wreck America instead of the people trying to save it. It's Thursday. It's Riell Truth. We'll be right back.
Power has been providing reliable electrical power systems in the Rocky Mountain area since 1992. Our systems rely on the sun to help make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Custom-tailored capabilities, modest and emergency lighting, all the way to commercial-scale power. Great Plains Power is a full-service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom-designed system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to GreatPlainsSolar.com.
Are you driving a vehicle with hail damage from summer storms? Tired of waiting months to get your vehicle repaired? Dent Vision specializes in paintless dent and hail repair. And unlike traditional body shops, Dent Vision gets your vehicle back to you in days, not weeks. Insurance and top quality repairs with lifetime warranty.
All right, guys, let's get right to it with some expert commentary. Here's Ann Coulter and Rich Lowry on the Ingram angle yesterday, talking about the whole Bannon fiasco. Absolutely it has, my friends. Listen, when push comes to shove, it's Donald Trump who's the president, and it's Donald Trump who in his first year has been the most effective president in our lifetimes. Item from Arab News, Dateline Ankara. Turkey's Religious Affairs State Agency came under heavy criticism on Thursday from the main opposition party after it reportedly said girls as young as 9 could marry under Islamic law. The Diyanet Religious Affairs Directorate said on Tuesday the minimum age for girls to marry was 9. Unquote. My friends, that is Islamic law. Hide your daughters. We'll be back.
And of his fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, 16.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution.
You look at the blocker plan, and Elizabeth reminds us that the drug problem is well documented. We know our kids will be approached at early age. We want to applaud the youngsters in our community who have had the strength to say no to drugs. They provide examples to their peers and families to be the best they can be. As for the blocker plan, located at 366 Grafton, serving our area since 1943 and specializing in naturalized HB and pork and complete custom process. Call 303-688-2240. That's 303-688-2240. Piccolo's restaurant in Denver reminds us that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were affected by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. It's from Piccolo's restaurant in Denver. It's not only the best Italian and Mexican cuisine, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166.
All right, guys, welcome back to Riell Truth. Let's stay on this topic because it is not only the topic du jour, but it also has implications for everything that's going on. Here's Roger Stone speaking as a guest on the Alex Jones show at InfoWars. Go.
Based on many years' experience with him, anything Michael writes has to be taken with a grain of salt. He don't know something about me, but certainly when I went back to Ailes said he had never said anything of the kind. And there's no way security can disprove it. I sort of made my fingers over the years of doing it.
So, my friends, there you have it. We've got a lack of credibility. And once again, it goes back to lying, fake news media. Allegedly. Allegedly. We don't know yet. But certainly the smell is there. I've heard a lot of people in the last 24 hours talk about this guy, Michael Wolff, having a lack of credibility. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Stay true, my friends. Stay true. We have a champion in the White House who's fighting for us. Item from NBC Chicago. A suburban Chicago resident who is offering up quote-unquote slumber parties in his basement for homeless people in his neighborhood during dangerously cold weather says city officials have given him an ultimatum. Stop the slumber parties or the house will be condemned. Greg Schiller of Elgin said he began letting a group of homeless people sleep in his unfinished basement last month during brutally cold nights, offering them food, warm beverages, and a cot to sleep on while watching movies. I would stay up all night with them and give them coffee and stuff to feed them, he said, adding that no drugs or alcohol were allowed inside his residence during the evening events. Stop! Rahm Emanuel is the mayor of Chicago. Former chief of staff to Barack Hussein Obama. What's that, you say? Yes, the same Rahm Emanuel who has stridently defended his right to make Chicago a sanctuary city, which means the following. If you are a criminal, Chicago opens its arms to you, welcomes you, and will protect you. But if you are a homeless American citizen, you need to get outside where it's 10 below in the snow. And anyone who tries to give you a place to stay at night with some warm food and drink, well, they're criminals. That's Rahm Emanuel speaking. Democrat Rahm Emanuel, mayor of Chicago, Barack Obama flunky. My friends, this is who the Democrats are. Helping the homeless people when the weather is horrifying? No, says Emanuel. If you're a criminal, if you're an illegal, yeah, come on in, we'll take care of you. But take care of the homeless? Not when there's a Democrat in City Hall. Item from thehill.com. Supporters of California's newly minted status as a sanctuary state for illegal aliens have predictably hailed the move as an act of compassion. However, it's time to call this what it truly is, an act of rebellion by a state against the authority of the federal government that will endanger the lives of law enforcement officials and California residents. Unquote. My friends, of a piece are Chicago, Illinois, and the state of California. Are of a piece Rahm Emanuel, Democrat mayor of Chicago, and the uniformly Democrat legislators in California. Sanctuary state, if you're a criminal, if you're here illegally, you mugged someone, murdered somebody, raped somebody, doesn't matter. Go to California, stretch out on the beach, you'll be fine because the liberals of California, the Democrats of California, will protect you. If you're homeless, you're the enemy. But if you're a criminal, liberals love you. Item from Aaron Kessel, writing at the Activist Post. Former independent Black Ops contractor Robert Cody Snodgrass took to the airwaves early last month to allege he was offered a massive $1 million paycheck from the CIA to bomb the Alfred P. Murrah building in Oklahoma City prior to the mysterious deadly explosion in the 1990s. Hours later, he was in a serious car accident, according to reports. The 1990s 9/11, so to speak, where evidence doesn't add up, was originally and officially blamed on fertilizer bombs perpetrated by Timothy McVeigh and his accomplice Terry Nichols. It's a weaved web of deceit. The investigation was a cover-up in every sense of the word, and they finally get wings for exposure. The question is, why is there nothing to hide? The question is, why, if there is nothing to hide? That question may finally be answered with Snodgrass, a career independent contractor. Further false flag attacks may be prevented with his stepping forward to blow the whistle on how ICs are approached to carry out these heinous acts against the American people in exchange for large sums of cash. According to Snodgrass, he believes McVeigh and Nichols were patsies. Unquote. My friends, is it true? I don't know. I don't know. And I'll tell you what, in this day and age, maybe simply professing to a lack of knowledge, maybe just saying I don't know, maybe that's the greatest act of courage there is. After all, everybody likes to dive in, either on this side or that side. But to say you don't know is to withhold prejudicial evidence and to stand by the truth. We'll be back.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Phillips, founder of the Green Earth.
How many times have you gone into a health food store and are confused as to the many different brands and prices on the same herbal supplements? You want to buy the cheapest, but you're afraid the quality is less, so you buy the most expensive. The truth is, the cheapest may be better. Green Herb herbal supplements are all manufactured in our Wheat Ridge, Colorado plant at 4565 Kipling Street using the highest quality herbs that we source from all over the world. Our 150 different herbal supplements are the most potent and safest in America. Our guarantee is your money back, no time limit. Just return the bottle empty or full, no questions asked. So when you come to our new location, look for our new name, New Genesis Health, or call us at 888-765-HERB. That's 888-765-4372.
Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirit, whether they are God, because many false prophets have gone into the world. By this you will know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is of God, and every spirit that does not confess that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist, which you have already heard was coming, and is now already in the world. 1 John 4:1.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. This is the America's News Network.
Chaplain Colin Villos, who salutes our emergency first responders, conduct professional and free. They're willing to put their lives on the line for us with little or no thanks. So let's all take the time to thank our first responders for all they do for us. Also thanking our veterans for the sacrifice they made for our freedom. This message is from Chaplain Colin, LLC, the two locations in Denver and Fort Collins, serving the community for over 13 years. Visit them online at chaplaincolin.com.
If catastrophe struck, would your family be prepared? Are you confident you wouldn't react in a panic? Is there one place to get all of your emergency supplies? Ferris Survival encourages you to have confidence through preparation, not panic through crisis. Ferris Survival, located at 3366 South Broadway, is a professional, reputable, full-service business providing quality, realistic preparedness supplies at an affordable price. Go online, stop by, or call 303-781-0343. Ferris Survival.
My friends, lest we forget, Donald Trump is kicking ass on the world stage. Here's a report from Fox News today. I think this is Neil Cavuto talking to Senator Rand Paul. Now remember, Rand Paul ran against Donald Trump in the last presidential election. Of course, he lost. But now he's got nothing but superlatives for the job the president is doing, specifically on Pakistan, which has been taking billions of our dollars for years while they're supporting terrorism and working against the United States of America. Here's Senator Paul.
They don't look too happy, do they? Anyway, protests erupting in Pakistan after President Trump tweets that the U.S. is going to withhold hundreds of millions of dollars in military aid to Pakistan, saying that we're pouring good money after bad, and it stops with him. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul actually just got off the phone with President Trump. Of course, the senator is a member of that key Foreign Relations Committee. Of course, he wields tremendous influence on Capitol Hill. Senator, good to see you. Good to see you, Neil. Thanks for having me. This issue and this money, why now, Senator? You just got off the phone with the president. Why now?
You know, I think most Americans would support the president on this. I mean, we don't like to see our money going to countries that burn our flag. In Pakistan, they incarcerate Christians. There's a Christian Asia BB who's been on death row for 5 years. They put Dr. Shaquille Afridi in jail for 33 years. He's the guy that helped us get bin Laden. They seemed to look the other way when bin Laden was there for over a decade. So, yeah, I think Americans agree with the president. We ought to quit sending good money after bad. And what I discussed with the president is I have an idea for using some of that money here at home. We got bridges, we've got roads that need repair. Why don't we keep that money at home and let's put it into rebuilding our infrastructure here at home?
Do you know, well, first of all, on that, what did he say to that idea?
Well, I don't like to characterize what he tells me personally, but I can tell you that he's talked a lot about infrastructure, and he also has talked a lot about not liking money going to Pakistan. So I think he'd probably be receptive to it. And I did tell him we'd introduce it next week, and so we'll see. We'll see what the administration says. But I think it's very, very popular with the people. But it's one of those things that if you walk around Washington and talk to people, nobody in Washington is for keeping any of that money at home. They would send more money than you can imagine everywhere in the world, but they never will consider keeping any of it at home. But President Trump has said repeatedly during his campaign, throughout his presidency, that we need to spend that money here at home. And I'm going to put legislation out there, and let's see if we can get Congress to vote on spending some of that money here.
You know, when you were running for president, to say nothing of your senatorial career, you also had serious questions about the billions we give abroad, and to get little of it back, certainly even in respect, let alone, thanks. Do we have to do a wholesale sort of step back from foreign aid in general, that Pakistan might be the tipping point?
Yeah, I think at the very least, if you're giving people money, they ought to be your friend, and they ought to behave, and they ought to be your ally. There are some people who question whether Pakistani intelligence actually cooperates with the Haqqani network that actually kills our soldiers across the border in Afghanistan. So, yeah, I think there ought to be conditions to it. We also shouldn't give money to countries, one, that have mass protests burning our flag, and where the government itself condones putting Christians in jail for gossip. Basically, someone said that this woman said something bad about Islam, and she denies it, and she happens to be a Christian, and they've had her in jail now for 8 years. Her name's Asia Bibi. There's no reason in the world we should give them one penny when they put Christians in jail, or when they put people in jail that helped us to get bin Laden. That makes me think that they really don't care about being our ally.
I'd like to switch gears, Senator, if you don't mind, on Orrin Hatch indicating that he's stepping down. Talk is that Mitt Romney, the former presidential candidate, might run for that seat. What do you think?
Well, I've gotten to know Senator Hatch over the past 6 years or so, and I'd say there's probably not a finer gentleman in the Senate. Doesn't mean we always agree, but I tell you what, I've never had a disagreeable word with him. He is really one of the very fine gentlemen and well-intentioned and good-meaning people that we have in our Congress. A lot of times people want to badmouth who their elected officials are. He's one of the guys that you'd be hard-pressed to try to say a mean word about him because he's such a nice guy.
What about Mitt Romney if he gets that?
I don't know who will run. I've met Mitt Romney before. I don't know whether in Utah they'll hold it against him that he, ran for, was the governor of another state, across the country. A lot of those things would have to be decided over time. There's a great deal of allegiance to religion in Utah, maybe more so than regionality, whether you're from Massachusetts or not. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but it's a very competitive Republican state, so I would assume there'll be several people joining the fray, would be my guess.
So even if Mitt Romney were to run, you wouldn't be surprised if others decided to challenge him?
No, and in fact, my good friend Mike Lee went up and took on a sitting senator out there, and a lot of times their primary is actually a convention where only a couple of thousand people vote, and so a lot of times conservatives have a bigger impact in Utah than many places because the conservative activists are the ones a lot of times that show up for their conventions.
Do you think Mitt Romney is a conservative?
Well, I think that, there were people who said that, Obamacare was based on Romney Care in Massachusetts. It's very expensive and a government-directed health care sort of plan that most conservatives don't agree with. So I think that would have to be sorted out by those in Utah, whether he's conservative or not. I would say some aspects, particularly of Romney Care, are really aspects of big government health care that might not, fit real well with conservatives in Utah. We'll see.
My immediate thought was how anyone could build a bridge after the acrimonious relationship, of course, the former governor and presidential candidate had with President Trump. You guys, that is you and President Trump, also had an acrimonious relationship. You have a very good working relationship now. What do you think?
I think that, yeah, perhaps. I don't know about their personal relationship. I can comment on mine. Yes, we fought tooth and nail in the presidential primary. We may have both said some things that we'd just soon forget now. But, there are a lot of things that I agree with President Trump on very strongly. Sending money to Pakistan, that being a mistake. That the Iraq War was a mistake. And so really President Trump comes from a wing of the party that really strongly represents a lot of the things that I've said. And so it's been easy for me, I think, to get a good relationship with him, over time, because there's a lot of things we agree with.
Right. Marco Rubio was talking over the weekend, Senator, about the tax cut package that Republicans crafted and, mused that maybe it was a little bit too generous to corporations. What do you think?
I think the thing is people get confused about tax cuts. So let's say you pay $1,000 in taxes and we give you a 99% cut. So you get a $990 tax cut. But let's say you pay $1 million in taxes and you get a 1% cut. It's a $10,000 tax cut. We all go crazy saying, oh, the guy who paid $1 million or the corporation paid $1 million is getting $10,000 and the poor person's only getting $990. But they got a 99% tax cut. So a lot of this stuff is demagoguery. And I would say, and I'm not saying that with regard to Marco's comments because I haven't heard them, but I am saying with regard to the idea that the rich got too much and the poor didn't get enough, this tax cut is heavily weighted towards the middle class and the working class. Every working person in the country in February is going to see more money in their check. And I think that's what we should be doing, is leaving more money in the hands of those who work hard for it. And I think there was a lot of corporate tax cut here. I would like to see more on the individual side, but I don't want to see less on the corporate side. I think we did a good job on the corporate side. If we get economic growth, which many of us think we will, I'd like to come back in a year and do more on the individual side, particularly in the top 1%, top 5%, because they pay most of the taxes.
Senator, how do you feel?
Well said. Absolutely correct. People complain because rich people get their taxes cut. Well, they pay a whopping amount of taxes in this country. You've seen the statistics. The top 10% of earners pay like 80% of taxes. Don't be angry at rich people, okay? They do a lot of good. They work, they earn. If you're not earning as much as you'd like, there are a lot of things you can do to raise your income. Get busy. Let's take a break, and let's come back with more Real Truth.
A more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. He was in the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God, to those who believe in his name, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 10 through 13. The American Freedom Network is not funded or supported by special interest groups or government programs. The American Freedom Network is not sponsored by advertisers demanding content or programming control. The American Freedom Network is solely funded by you, the listener. Please help keep the American Freedom Network on the air by purchasing one of our sponsored spine products or by calling 1-800-205-6245 to make a donation. The American Freedom Network needs your help. American Window Tinting Incorporated in Franktown reminds parents, keep an eye on your child while shopping. Children tend to stray or become lost. This poses an opportunity for a would-be abductor. Please make every effort to keep track of your little one at all times. If you have information regarding a lost child, call local authorities at once. This message is from American Window Tinting Incorporated in Franktown. For residential or commercial window tinting, call 303-263-4228.
All right, my friends, we are back. Let's talk DACA now.
We want to talk.
We talked to Laura Ingram. We heard from Laura Ingram before. We heard from Rand Paul. Now let's hear from Laura Ingram and Rand Paul talking about the DACA deal and exactly where it stands. Let's go.
About the foreign aid issue, which you've been all over. I also want to talk about what is percolating out there, which is a
The first thing that I propose is that they should not add to the immigration totals. So we admit about 1 million people a year. We're one of the more generous countries with immigration. It shouldn't be 1 million plus the 800,000. It should be 1 million minus the 800,000. And so you could do that. And what you could do is, if you did it over 4 or 5 years, you do background checks and you make sure that they are not criminals and haven't, committed any crimes. But then you'd subtract them from the immigration totals. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is you have to get something else in exchange. I think ending chain migration is one, and I think border security is the second one. The only thing I would caution on the WER is I'm still concerned that even when it comes to money on the WER, we're talking about $40 billion for a WER. I think we've done, somebody told me the other day, one of the senators mentioned that we've done, I think it's 2,700 miles of concrete barriers on highways for $2 billion. So there's somewhere got to be some kind of in between there. We shouldn't just say, hey, whatever, we want to spend it, we spend it. We do need to still be fiscally conservative on how we build the road and how we build the barriers. I've learned said that you could have helicopter stations every 50
Well, my friends, this is a state-by-state issue. I think Rand Paul is right. We'll take a break. We'll come back, and we'll wrap it up for the week.
Article 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the places to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
The Lord makes the counsel of the nations to nothing. He makes the plans of the people of no effect. The counsel of the Lord stands forever, the plans of his heart to all generations. Blessed is the nation. God is the Lord. The people he has chosen as his own inheritance. Psalm 33, verses 10 through 12.
Chaplain Collins LLC salutes our emergency first responders for their professionalism and physical free. They're willing to put their lives on the line for us with little or no thanks. So let's all take the time to thank our first responders for all they do for us. Also thanking our veterans for the sacrifice they made for our freedom. This message is from Chaplain Collins LLC, with 2 locations in Denver and Fort Collins, serving the community for over 14 years. Visit them online at chaplaincollins.com. Piccolo's restaurant in Denver reminds us that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were abducted by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play. If you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's restaurant in Denver. It's not only the best Italian Mexican cuisine, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166. Piccolo.
Item from Breitbart. An elite liberal arts college is offering a class called Queering the Bible for the 2018 fall semester, in which it promises to, quote, destabilize long-held assumptions about the Bible, about what the Bible says about gender. According to the course description published in the Swarthmore College catalog, the course will survey queer and trans readings of biblical texts while introducing students to, quote, the complexity of constructions of sex, gender, and identity in one of the most influential literary works produced in ancient times, unquote. The one-credit course, and my friends, between you and me, that's one credit too many. The one-credit course, taught by Dr. Gwynn Kessler, who has a PhD in rabbinics from Jewish Theological Seminary in New York City, promises to employ the methods of queer and trans theoretical approaches to Bible reading, by which it will destabilize, quote, long-held assumptions about what the Bible and religion says about gender and sexuality. Dr. Kessler says her work, quote, is situated within and suffused with postmodern, feminist, and queer theoretical approaches, unquote. On announcing the hiring of Dr. Kessler in 2009, Swarthmore said she would teach courses on GLBTQ Jews and Judaism and a seminar on biblical and rabbinic constructions of God's gender. Oh boy. Kessler's marriage to Tamara Ruth Cohen in 2004 merited an announcement in the New York Times section on weddings and celebrations. Along with Queering the Bible, Swarthmore's religion department also offers Queering God, Feminist and Queer Theology, a course that, quote, examines feminist and queer writings about God, explores the tensions between feminist and queer theology, and seeks to stretch the limits of gendering and sexing the divine. Quote, if we can point out places in traditional writings where God is nurturing, forgiving, and loving, the course description asks, does that mean God is feminine or female? The Quaker-founded Swarthmore College, located outside Philadelphia, consistently receives top rankings among many indicators of excellence, according to the ever-attentive writers at the College Fix. According to the U.S. News & World Report, tuition and fees at Swarthmore run to $50,822 per year, and only 13% of applicants are accepted. Good Lord. Item from Breitbart. Establishment advocates are insisting January 19th is the drop-dead dateline for a DACA or Dreamer amnesty, just 2 weeks after the advocates insisted that December 22nd was the drop-dead deadline. The January deadline claim is based on the advocates' claim that agency officials needed a few weeks planning time to prepare and launch the amnesty by March 5, when the 2-year work permits invented by President Barack Obama will start expiring at a more rapid pace. GOP leaders, including House Speaker Paul Ryan, have described March as a deadline, even though hundreds of thousands of work permits will remain valid after that date. For example, only half of the roughly 650,000 work permits will expire by November 2018, says a business group. The last of the DACA work permits granted by Obama to illegals will expire in 2009, but the expirations will open up to 300,000 jobs, perhaps at decent wages, before November to some of the 9 million working-age Americans who've been sidelined by post-1990s wage freeze. My friends, the Dreamers were brought here by their parents who did them a terrible disservice. But they need to go, period, because that's the law. I'll be back on Monday with more Riell Truth. In the meantime, friends, stay safe, stay healthy, stay angry.